So at first we thought it would be Kamala because obviously Joe Biden is not going to run for president. Again, Joe Biden has dementia. The very idea is absurd. So we thought it would be Kamala. Now, the problem with Kamala Harris is that no one likes her. No one at all. Didn't even get to the first primary, mismanaged her presidential campaign so badly in 2020 that they didn't even have the cash to make it to the first primary. And let's be honest, Kamala hates being vice president. She hates it. You can tell just by looking at her. She may have liked it at the beginning. It had like that new car smell, that new vice presidency smell for a little while. And now Kamala Harris just looks miserable at every single thing. And so then they tried to slide Pete Buttigieg in there for the win. You know, they put him as the Secretary of Transportation just because, like, they couldn't figure out something else for him to do. And they were like, Secretary of Transportation is pretty inconsequential. It's all fun and games until you have a massive supply chain crisis. Well, Mayor Pete is on not maternity. Oh my God, I misgendered him. Paternity leave. And so who else could it be? Who else could it be? Well, Hillary Clinton has been getting dolled up lately. Hillary Clinton's got a master class out in which she reads the speech that she would have read had she won the presidency in 2016. Hillary Clinton is doing media appearances here and there. People on Twitter are starting to talk. And now all of a sudden, it looks like Hillary herself might be throwing her hat in the ring for 2024. You know, it's funny. I do a show. It's a fun show. I know some of you don't like it, but it is a fun show every Tuesday night at 9:30 called Nothing Remotely Controversial with my friend Joshua the Psychic. And basically, we talk about the news, and then Joshua tries to make predictions about what will happen in the news. And he is actually freakishly accurate. He gets like a lot of stuff correct. Even though Joshua doesn't really watch the news or engage with the news, he gets a lot of stuff correct. Last night on our show, and you can watch the recording on the channel, Joshua predicted that there was a good sporting chance that Hillary was going to run for president again. And then today we see this pop up in the Hill. Hillary 2024. Given the competition, she may be the Democrats' best hope. Could we be in for the rematch of the century? Hillary Trump, the rematch. Hillary Trump, electric boogaloo. I don't know. Whatever it is. I don't know. The return redux. It would be amazing. Let's be honest. Like, if Trump ran again and Hillary ran again and both of them won their respective parties' nominations, it would be incredible. It would be the best thing that's ever happened. It would be comedy. It would be 2 straight years of comedy. The debates. Can you imagine the debates? They would be amazing. So we're going to read this article in the Hill, and I'm going to talk about what I think it means, and I would invite you to share your opinions in the comments as well. But before we get into that, guys, I do videos around news, politics, culture. I pretty much have disdain for all sides equally. So it's like, I don't even take a side at a lot of stuff. I think that this is comedy. I try to have fun with it. I do get serious when it comes to stuff around fighting back against the woke nonsense and chaos in your life. I give actionable tips for that. Lots of good stuff. If you like what I'm doing, or more so maybe you just want someone who is as disdainful of the news as you probably are, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. I post content almost every single day of the week, except for on Saturdays when I generally take a break. But subscribe, give it a thumbs up if you appreciate it, leave a comment, let me know what you think, even if you think I'm full of crap. You know, could be fair sometimes. And share it out with your friends because YouTube has me in like YouTube quarantine where my videos aren't even shown to people who aren't subscribed to the channel anymore. But if you really want to help me out, you could become a member of my Locals community. Now, Locals is actually free to join. You can join it, where is it? Bing! Also in the ticker, kb.locals.com. You can join totally for free, see what's going on in Locals. Locals is the only place that I have authentic engagements with actual real people on the internet. And you can join for free just to kind of check it out, see what's going on. But if you really want to support the work I'm doing and help keep me independent, then please consider becoming a supporter in my community. This is the thing that allows me to do what I do. If you appreciate my content, you consume it. Hey man, I would really appreciate it if you would join as a supporter, and you're going to get lots of perks. You're going to get at least 2 Zoom calls with me every single week. I'm actually going to be doing a lot more Zoom calls with my locals in 2022. I'm making all sorts of plans. You get book club, you get stitch and bitches, you get to interact with other members of the community. It is the best. You get exclusive content that is only available on locals. And it's not like a hellscape cesspool like Twitter and other social media are. So joining as a supporter starts at $5 a month. You can give more if you want, but you don't have to. You can also do it for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. You can also make a one-time gift. But definitely, guys, I would love your support in locals. It's what allows me to do all this, and I'm so grateful for everyone who chooses to be a member in the community. All right, let's dig into this article. There may be a rematch coming in the 2024 race for the White House, but we're not talking about God help us Biden Trump too. I mean, Biden Trump too would be the most boring thing ever. Let's be honest. Joe Biden wasn't even an interesting candidate. Instead, in 2016, Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton is an interesting prospect to consider when looking for a viable candidate, particularly if 80-something President Biden decides not to seek a second term. And why would he? Just 22% of voters want him to seek a second term. Oh, God, that's got to suck for Biden. I actually do, there is a part of me that feels bad for Biden. Dude wanted to be president his whole life. His whole life. All he wanted was to be president. And then he finally gets elected president, and he's just the default choice. No one really liked him. They just didn't like Trump. And we can argue about whether or not the results are legitimate, but we're not going to do that on YouTube. We do that in locals. We don't do that on YouTube. We do that in locals where we can't be censored. But no one really likes him. No one wanted him. And now only 22% of voters want him to seek a second term. That's got to hurt, man. That's gotta hurt. I do feel for the guy for that. I mean, he's like an awful human being, but just on a human level, I do have some empathy. It doesn't get much better when polling only Democrats, where just 36% want to see the president run again, with that juggernaut candidate named someone else coming in first with 44% support. The Democratic bench is about as deep as the New York Jets these days. Vice President Harris, she's got a 28% approval rating per USA Today. Andrew Cuomo, no. Gavin Newsom, he had to spend major time and resources just to avoid being ousted in a deeply blue state. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, not even 40 years old, and he has a supply chain crisis on his resume. Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Cory Booker. If these are the options, why not Hillary? Why not, indeed? Why not? Why not? What could possibly go wrong with this plan? Hillary, the comeback. She's just 74 years young. That's not actually what it says. Years old. Which is like being bathed in the fountain of youth compared to Biden. And she's still stunned 5 years later that she actually lost to Donald Trump. In fact, she sounds no different than Trump in consistently complaining about all the reasons she lost and that, well, the election was stolen by Trump and the Russians anyway. That type of rhetoric is a big no-no for Trump, but A-okay if Hillary or Stacey Abrams does it. Rules are rules. The Hill. The Hill. I had discounted The Hill. I thought The Hill got a little too lefty during Trump, and now I'm reading that they're like, the Hill just went flat out, rules for thee, but not for me. The Hill, I might have to give you a second look, my friends. Oh my God. You never can tell. Never can tell. Are we going to give in to all these lies and this disinformation and this organized effort to undermine our rule of law and our institutions? Or are we going to stand up to it? Clinton recently warned regarding the possibility of Trump taking back the White House. And yes, that's a real possibility. Several recount polls have Trump topping Biden in a hypothetical 2024 contest, which is a stunning result considering that Democrats received more votes last year than any other presidential candidate in American history, 81 million votes. Sure they did. Sure they did. Yeah, Joe Biden Absolutely. Most popular president ever with 22% of people wanting him to run again. Most popular president ever. Sure. One more possible side that Hillary is dipping her toe into the 2024 pool comes in the form of her bizarre decision to read her 2016 victory speech for something called Masterclass. It was one of the most cringeworthy things you'll ever see. Here we have a former First Lady, Senator, Secretary of State, and Democratic presidential nominee reading a speech for an election she lost. Of course, if the New York Times gave me an 85% chance of winning an election and I somehow lost to a guy who's never run for public office before, I'd have some trouble absorbing it too. I like the Hill. Who wrote this? Hang on. Who wrote this article? Joe Concha, opinion contributor. Joe. Joe is getting a little spicy in the Hill. But eventually, one would think Hillary, more than 5 years later, would show some class, some humility, some maturity, and not talk about it so often anymore. Instead, here she is, a losing candidate, reading a 5-year-old victory speech. And in case you're asking if any losing presidential candidate had done anything like that before, the answer is no. Since the election, Hillary has blamed her loss on misogyny, sexism, voter IDs laws, Bernie Sanders' former FBI director George Comey, and Matt Lauer, along with dozens of other factors. She hasn't blamed neglecting to campaign in Wisconsin or deciding I'm with her was a Gabby campaign slogan. Like, this is, I don't even need to add commentary for this. Like, I did not expect this article to be this snarky. This is amazing. This is perfect. Joe, I'm going to follow you on Twitter after this, man. Oh, you guys should follow Joe. I hope Joe's on Twitter. God. Again, the only useful part of that hellscape cesspool of a website. It's a 5-year public therapy session in broad daylight, and in a sane world, she would have been laughed out of the room for reading such a speech. But this felt more like a trial balloon in an effort to see if there's still an appetite for the Clinton brand. Kamala Harris was supposed to be Biden's plan B. She is supposed to be set up to be the first female president in our nation's history, but it's not working out for the VP, who is already seeing senior staff members jump ship at an alarming rate, presumably thanks to her poor polling. Hillary Clinton has always seemed to believe the mantle of first female president was her birthright. And given how pathetic the field is on the Democratic side, with or without Joe Biden, she may get a second chance at winning the office her husband so famously made infamous. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that we should be looking forward to Hillary running again? Be her third presidential campaign, man. She's old hat. She's got all her staffers. Is Hillary going to be showing up in New Hampshire? Should I try to go to a Hillary campaign event in New Hampshire and heckle her if she shows up? The answer to that is definitely yes. That would definitely happen. But I'm all about it. I'm all about it. I think that 2024 is going to be a fascinating year to watch. I think it is going to be a dumpster fire hellscape of an election. You know, as much as I would like to see Hillary and Trump the rematch, I will say this. I don't think Trump's going to run. I go back and forth on this issue. I might give you a different answer tomorrow. I don't think Trump's going to run, man. I think DeSantis is looking good. DeSantis just introduced some anti-woke act in Florida today. He's looking fit. He's looking young. He's looking presidential. He's much more calm than Trump. I don't know if it's a good idea for Trump to run again. Maybe that's more what I'm saying. It's not that I don't think he's going to run again, but I just don't know if it's a good idea. But you know what? I will say this. I want to vote for Dave Smith for president in 2024, who I think will be the Libertarian nominee. I hope will be the Libertarian nominee. Fingers crossed. That's who I actually want to vote for. So I don't even have any skin in this game, really. I really don't. I'm just here for the comedy. I'm here for the lulz. And if it ends up being Trump versus Clinton again, part of me is a little scared. Part of me thinks the universe may implode on us if that eventuality happens. But man, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. All right, guys, that's all I have for this video. Again, if you enjoyed it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel, doing all the things, thumbs up, turning on notifications, commenting, sharing, all that good stuff. And I definitely hope I will be seeing you in my locals community because locals is the best. It is the best place on the internet. It is the only sane place on the internet. I love it. I spend a lot of time in there. It's the only place that you're really going to have authentic interaction with me. Nowhere else. Not Twitter. Not Twitter. Don't go on Twitter. All right, guys. That is all I have. I will see you again very, very soon.